One of the films that was one of the more disappointing films to me in my lifelong movie fandom journey was the Dungeons and Dragons movie that came out a number of years ago. And because I grew up playing Dungeons and Dragons with my friends and stuff like that. My very first character was a wizard. Because I don't have a lot of creativity, I named my wizard Zap, because he would shoot lightning bolts a lot.
Aww.
Yes, his name was Zap the wizard. Shut up. Max. So that was Max. It was Zap Max. That was the name of
his full name.
Zap Max was his full name. So, and that one was, the one with Jeremy Irons was so bad.
Ugh.
It was so unbelievably bad. Now, then they announced that they were doing a new one here. We got Chris Pine leading it. You got Michelle Rodriguez in there. You got Jean-Rene Jar.
Regé Jean Page? Is that his name?
Sure. We'll go with that. Him, the guy from
Bridgerton.
The Bridgerton,
yeah.
yes. The Bridgerton.
And the girl from It.
And the girl who's very good, girl from It. Listen, they put together a pretty good cast. I'm particularly fond of Chris Pine and Michelle Rodriguez. So when I saw them attached, I'm like, all right, but still, I don't know how you're going to make something good out of it. Then that first trailer came out. And I was like, you know what? This actually looks like it could be kind of fun. Well, now they've released a new behind the scenes kind of featurette going as a 2-minute long little featurette talking about the movie and the characters in the movie and all that kind of stuff. And they've released a brand new poster for it as well that has come out, which you can take a look at here. Now, this poster looks a little 2005 to me. Not the greatest poster, not the worst poster. It's a poster. A lot of contractually obligated people get to be on the poster. That's fine. It's fine. The poster's fine, whatever. But the footage we saw from it and hearing them talk about it is kind of making me fall in love with this movie a little bit. And I'll tell you why. Because when I'm watching this, you know what? It reminds me a lot of when I was watching Vox Machina. The thing about Vox Machina and the thing about what I see in the trailers and in the footage that we're getting out of Dungeons and Dragons is this feels like me and my friends are playing Dungeons and Dragons. That's what it feels like. It doesn't feel like a Lord of the Rings movie, which they should not go for.
Correct.
It feels like you and a couple of buddies sitting around on a Friday night with some pizza, dice, paper, and pencils, and beer. And not that I drink beer, and it feels like a game that we would legitimately and honestly play. The way they would talk, the dialogue between them feels like what we playing the game would say if we were in that situation. That's one of the reasons why Vox Machina works so well for me. It really immersed me into Dungeons and Dragons, right? And I just saw this and I thought, you know what? I am totally on board for this. Now, I don't know how people who didn't play a lot of Dungeons and Dragons or don't play Dungeons and Dragons will feel about this, but this is getting me more and more intrigued. And I actually reached out to my buddy Kyle Newman, of course, director of Fanboys, and him and Joe Manganiello are doing and directing and producing a new Dungeons and Dragons documentary. And I asked him, what did you think about it? Because I'm really good. He said, you know what? It actually looks really good.
Yeah.
And I thought he might say that being a Dungeons and Dragons player. So surprisingly, despite my initial skepticism, this thing is really kind of winning me over. And it looks like Chris Pine is having an absolute blast doing this movie. So, you know what? I don't know if the movie's going to end up being good or not. Who knows? But right now, the tone of it, the feel of it, the nature of it, making it feel like a legitimate Dungeons and Dragons game, it's won me over. I'm excited for this thing. Anyway, Chris, you had a chance to watch this behind the scenes featurette, see the new poster. Where are you at right now with this Dungeons and Dragons movie?
Oh, I'm even more excited. This looks so freaking fun. I'm so excited because when we first saw the footage at CinemaCon, right, they won me over with Gelatinous Cube and the Mimic right away.
Oh, yeah.
Of just, okay, you guys know what you're doing and this looks like a good time. And to your point, too, it does feel more like that kind of fun campaign style that you want to be a part of, right? When you have a DM who takes themselves too seriously and it gets too highbrow,
ruins a game.
Oh, it's a slog.
Ruins a game.
It's so not fun. Whereas when my friends play, my friend Misha will try to do things like, my character's going to invent karaoke and just do weird stuff like that. And that's when you have fun stuff, is when it goes off the rails. And this feels like it goes off the rails a lot, which I'm here for. Hugh Grant looks real fun in this. I love that in this featurette, we see a lot of the practical effects used too.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. That was huge. Like, for those of you guys who didn't see the feature, what Chris is talking about is they actually show that, yeah, there's going to be CGI, and of course you have dragons, but a lot of the creatures, they decided to go straight up practical effects with animatronics and costumes and stuff like that. And I was blown away by that because I didn't recognize that just watching the trailer.
Same. And so I'm sure it's going to be kind of a blend of both things, right? We for sure know like the owl bear is CGI and everything because of that transformation process. But it's really cool to see people go back to that because for me personally, I love that kind of stuff. I'm obviously a diehard Muppets fan, but anytime you have practical effects, I think it just also makes your actors be able to immerse themselves better. And what more do you want in Dungeons and Dragons than believable immersion and really committing to your environment and the wackiness of that space? So I think that's going to really add to this too.
Here's a question, though. So you have played in role-playing games with me.
Yes.
Ray plays in our Dungeons and Dragons group. I obviously play a lot of role-playing games. Okay, so we're the audience. The one thing I am curious about, though, is how is the vast majority of the average movie-going audience who does not play Dungeons and Dragons, never has played Dungeons and Dragons. Maybe their only exposure to Dungeons and Dragons was that 1980s Tom Hanks movie, Mazes and Monsters.
Oh, no.
And that's their only understanding of what Dungeons and Dragons
That
is.
lovely cautionary tale.
Oh my God, that movie is so... Anyway, if you guys look it up, Mazes and Monsters, Tom Hanks. I think it's his first starring role. Something you'll slap your forehead over 100 times. But here's my question. Are the trailers that we've seen and this featurette that we're seeing and the poster that we're seeing, is this going to appeal to the average moviegoer? Because I honestly don't know the answer to that. I know why it's clicking for me. I know why I'm interested in it, but I don't know if those same reasons will appeal to other people. Is this movie going to attract an audience?
You know, honestly, I think it will, just because I think it's not too inside baseball. There are things for those of us who have played the game, right, where we go, oh, fun, I've done this in my campaigns before too, or I understand that trope. Oh my gosh, I can't believe Chris Pine is a bard. There are those moments for us, but I think the comedy in this, that they've shown at least in the trailers, works really, really well. I think because it's not taking itself seriously too, people will be more... they'll find it more approachable. You know, I know a lot of my friends who have thought about doing D&D are very intimidated by the process and learning all the rules and all of that.
Yeah.
And I think you don't want to go into a movie, oh, I got to learn these rules. Better go get a little,
A Dungeon Master guide.
yeah, I
and
got to
figure
go
it out.
get that version 5 version here and figure everything out. But I think this is really, really fun and enjoyable. And I think most people will go to it just because of the level of comedy and the star power in it too. I think a lot of people who maybe wouldn't see a Dungeons and Dragons movie initially will go for Chris Pine, or they will go for Hugh Grant.
Well, and considering the popularity of Bridgerton,
Oh,
I'm
they'll go for
surprised
Reggie.
they're not leaning a little bit more into Jean Vernet Valjean. I'm just going to call him Jean Valjean from now
Jean
on.
Valjean,
I
yeah.
don't know why they're not leaning more into him a little bit.
Yeah.
All right, guys, question is for you. What do you think? Have you had a chance to watch this featurette of Dungeons and Dragons? If so, what did you think about it? Were you or are you a D&D player? Did it appeal to you? Are you somebody who's never played D&D? And if so, I'm curious, has the marketing material appealed to you or not? I'm really curious about that. Whatever you guys feel, jump on down to the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. We want to take a second to thank a sponsor of this video, Raycon. Guys, the holiday season is upon us, so in the spirit of giving, allow me to give you my recommendation. Premium audio products from Raycon. Raycon's wireless earbuds, headphones, and speakers offer premium sound. Anyone you gift them to will find a use for them right away. And as the person doing the gift giving, you're going to love the fact that they start at half the price of other premium audio brands. You guys know I've been using my Raycons for a long time. Every morning I get up and get on my treadmill, and I love using the Raycons because they're comfortable, they fit perfectly, and most importantly, they sound great. You can find Raycon in stores now like Kohl's or Walmart, but let me tell you right now, you're always going to get the best deal at buyraycon.com/Campea. The Raycon website also offers free shipping, free returns, and buy now, pay later options, plus a 30-day happiness guarantee. So guys, right now go to buyraycon.com/Campea to get 15% off site-wide with the code HOLIDAY, plus free shipping. That's code HOLIDAY at buyraycon.com/Campea for 15% off your Raycon purchase. buyraycon.com/Campea.